Hi, I'm John Mark Young, President and Chief Investment Officer of Whitaker-Myers Wealth Managers, and I'd like to welcome you to another installment of the Whitaker-Myers Wealth Managers, What We Learned in the Markets This Week video. Remember, our aim is to provide you, our valued clients, with a brief video giving you information that is helpful to your understanding of the markets from a biblical worldview with no financial agenda, which of course makes us uniquely different from the news media in America. And of course, I must tell you that this video is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon to make any investment decisions. The clients of Whitaker-Myers Wealth Managers may maintain positions in the securities discussed on today's videos, and all opinions that are discussed are solely those of John Mark Young and not those of Whitaker-Myers Wealth Managers. So let's talk about the 4 things we learned in the markets this week. Starting with point number 1 was growth stocks are off to their best start in nearly 30 years. If you're using the NASDAQ as your proxy for growth-oriented stocks, even if you're not, it's still really good. 3 growth funds we track very closely are the Triple Qs from Invesco. That's up 31.11% this year. The Fidelity Blue Chip Growth Fund is up 30.49%. And the Harbor Capital Appreciation Fund is up 28.58% on the year. While those 3 funds are at least in the top 10% of all growth funds, they show why a year like 2022, when growth stocks were absolutely hammered on the downside, shouldn't have been sold, but rather held for the anticipated recovery, which these funds are starting to get very, very close to. We also learned this week that electric car makers Ford and Tesla, they entered a partnership where Ford and Ford users or Ford drivers can use the rapid charging stations of Tesla. That helped actually both Ford and Tesla's stock this week. Each week is our proxy for the recession. We look at the initial claims for unemployment insurance, and this week they came in at 229,000, well below the highs of the last 12 months. So nothing alarming here yet, and more data to come on a future recession. As you can see from your screen, because the market struggled earlier in the week this week, many of the indexes in the Dave Ramsey style of investing didn't turn out to be anything to write home about, but still respectable. The S&P 500, which is our proxy for growth and growth in income stocks, but only when taken together, that was positive 0.32% for the week. The Russell 2000, which tracks our more aggressive growth, smaller companies in our Dave Ramsey vernacular, that was positive 0.02%. Basically flat. And finally, the MSCI EFA, which tracks international stocks, that was negative 2.06% this week, giving international a rare down week when everything else was positive. Point number 2. Each month lately, we've looked at the state of the U.S. economy from a state-by-state perspective. This data comes from the Philadelphia Federal Reserve, and it's for the month of April, what you're seeing on your screen right now. You'll remember from earlier videos, 3 months ago, we looked at this in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, along with California. These were the only large population states to show us slow growth, meaning growth between 0.1% and 0.5%. Now, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, those states fell off last month and picked up their growth, while California stayed on the economically naughty list. And here you go, for a 3rd month in a row, California, are still weighing us down in many ways, morally and now economically, with growth across the rest of the country, excluding Alaska and Kansas, coming in very strong. This data suggests the U.S. is not anywhere close to an economic contraction. However, California is systematically important to the U.S. economy because of its size. So my fear is the fact that if they can't get their act together, the pain that they're feeling right now will spread across other parts of the country and maybe push us towards a recession. We'll just have to see and watch this. That's why I'm watching this every single month. Now remember, the technical definition of recession is 2 straight negative quarters of GDP growth. We haven't even seen one yet, and the Atlanta Fed's GDP Now model suggests at this point, for the 2nd quarter of 2023, we're heading for a positive 1.9% rate. Point number 3. The talk of the week was the culmination of a debt ceiling deal almost being completed. More on that in point number 4. And the quarterly results of Nvidia. Now, why is Nvidia so important to the U.S. economy? Nvidia is one of the chip makers powering the artificial intelligence application boom being mainly driven at this point by OpenAI's ChatGPT. Elon Musk did a great interview with CNBC's David Faber. Watch that, where he talks about ChatGPT a little bit. Those tools like OpenAI has built require thousands of Nvidia's products. And Wednesday evening, they announced their forecast for the current quarter. Their sales are coming in about $11 billion, which is 64% higher than a year earlier and even higher than Wall Street analysts were expecting. And they were only expecting about $7.2 billion. These results resulted in their share price jumping 24.4% in a single day, creating out a $938 billion market cap company, just shy of $1 trillion, the magic number. The amount of value that was created in one day by Nvidia, that ranks only second to the amount of value added by Amazon in a single day in 2022. A lot of value created all at once. Other chip makers immediately saw boosts as well, such as Advanced Micron devices. They jumped 9.4%. Monolithic Power Systems, they rose 12.6% for the day. After the report, some analysts have coined the surge in chips because of the coming innovation and productivity enhancements because of artificial intelligence as the next gold rush. And you know who missed out on all this? Those that are waiting for the other shoe to drop in the market. This, my friends, is why you can't time the market. So please, please, please stop trying. It's a futile attempt to try and game a system which can't be gamed, that only ends in your frustration and peril financially. This week, analysts at Truist Bank, JP Morgan Chase, and Stifel Nicolaus have called Nvidia as the stock to watch in the chip industry in regards to artificial intelligence. And the fear is only coming from their ability to even meet future demand. Can they even do it? Because there will be so much demand. You'd hate to be a hedge fund that shorted Nvidia because they're having to cover those shorts this week. And there's a lot of pain to those people that were pessimistic once again. And point number 4. Again, thanks to some business travel this week where we were visiting clients in the great state of North Carolina, I'm a day late on recording this video, which means we got another day to see what happens with the debt ceiling deal, which originally had a deadline of June 1st. But recently, the Treasury Department gave a little more cushion. They pushed their drop dead date back to June 5th. As to when they'd run out of funds. However, Saturday evening, President Biden and Speaker McCarthy unveiled a tentative framework that will still need a few kinks to be ironed out, but it seems, my friends, we have come together in the 9th inning to solve the first part of our nation's spending problem. This agreement is going to raise the debt ceiling for 2 years, which will put it past the 2024 election, and it puts curbs on spending over those next 2 years. The bill will thankfully claw back spending that was supposed to add nearly 90,000 IRS agents over the next few years. You're still going to add IRS agents, just not as many. And it will require some work requirements for some government safety net programs. Pretty good idea, in my opinion. Prove that you need it before you actually get it. And it puts some caps on spending in certain categories of the government budget. Biden and McCarthy are going to speak on Sunday, May 28th. And then the legislation will be released for the parties to review. Of course, nothing is finalized yet, but the framework is in place and it looks as if we're moving forward. Now, both parties have to agree to this. That's maybe where you get a little more possible this isn't going to happen talk. But the reality is, if you're frustrated with government spending and overreach, the debt ceiling is not the time to get what you want completely. Sure, like anything, it's a chance to improve your party's priorities. But if we, the people of America, want structural change to the way the government operates, especially in regards to their spending, you must do that in the voting booth. I must do that in the voting booth. So don't expect too much from a debt ceiling deal. We should expect something. We are getting something. We're getting reduced spending. We're getting some clawbacks. But it's just an opportunity to put a Band-Aid on a much, much bigger wound. To learn more about my thoughts on the debt ceiling debate, check out in the comments the most recent article I wrote on the subject in regards to how it affects you as an investor. And that's going to go out in this week's newsletter as well. So check out our Better Than I Deserve newsletter to read that. But again, as we discussed, if you want change, the reality is you got to put Dave Ramsey type people in your Senate seat, in your House seat, ultimately in the White House, because those are the types of people that are going to create the change, going to create the spending thought process that you have to have with your own personal life. As you saw on the screen earlier, I put the amount of the U.S. debt. And it's grown. And it's grown under every party, Democrat and Republican. So there's no one that has clean hands of this. We're all the problem. But then again, that's 7 out of 10 Americans living paycheck to paycheck. It's why you should control what you can control. What you can control is your financial success. That's why we love Dave Ramsey's teachings and the team at Ramsey Solutions teaching so much. Because they teach you how to create financial success for yourself. How to create financial independence. How to live like no one else so later you can live like no one else. How to not be a slave to the lender. So I love it. So if you need help getting on that path and you're in baby steps 1, 2, or 3, which means you're still in debt other than your mortgage, you've not created a budget, you don't have an emergency fund, then hey, click on the link where you can meet with one of our financial coaches who will be more than happy to get you on the straight and narrow to building a future that you can be proud of. And if you have done those early things of getting out of debt other than your mortgage and building a budget and building that emergency fund, then you should meet with one of our financial planners who will help you in baby steps 4, 5, and 6. Get on a plan to execute baby step 4, to get on a plan to pay off that nasty little mortgage you got. Had a couple of clients that paid off their mortgages this week, which were great meetings to have with folks. And then eventually you can get to baby step 7 where you get to live and give like no one else. Thanks so much for watching this week's video. Thanks so much for all those that have served our wonderful and beautiful country in the military or in any ways. We celebrate you for Memorial Day. We wouldn't be the great country we are without you, which is why we were so happy to be in Fayetteville this week serving some of our clients at the great Fort Bragg. Thanks so much. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.